So I had this pretty crazy idea. What if you had a table where the aprons just kind of stopped and the glass carried on and somehow kept everything structurally sound? Well, this is the best drawing I could make of that kind of flash of inspiration. So I thought about it for a couple of days and ended up making a couple of sketches while I was watching Game of Thrones. So that's when I jumped onto SketchUp and I kind of drew out that shape. And so that evolved into this shape with an extra leg kind of supporting the glass in the middle. I still have some good feelings about this design. I think it's worth maybe investigating later. But what I ended up doing was actually taking that end piece and flipping it upside down. And I thought that looked a lot better. So now with it mocked up upside down, I was liking the shape, but I thought those extra legs are now redundant. So I could delete those and kind of voila, it appeared. I thought that looked like a really cool shape. So off camera I made some templates and some jigging to cut those templates. And I had a couple of really nice bits of cherry left over from a job. But try as I might, I just couldn't get the pieces I needed out of it. So I found a couple of other bigger bits of walnuts, which I thought would be equally nice. So I had to kind of work around the knots in that piece. So using the jig I'd already made, I could start cutting out a couple of the pieces, and it's actually pretty safe the way I'm doing that. I'm not moving my hands around, and I know exactly where the blade is. So the leg to the base plate, I decided to try a compound miter, and so I did it with my compound miter saw, and then also tried it on the sliding table saw just to see what it was like. And then I could continue to make the joins, or the I guess the long miters with the jig. And I could awkwardly add the dominoes to the acute miter. I ended up only getting one large domino in there. And I hadn't thought at this point about actually clamping this together. So they actually fitted together really nice when I dry fitted it. And so I thought it would be fine. The glue obviously made things move a little bit, so there was a bit of a gap. Anyhow, with that sitting and drying, I could get on to cutting the angles on the base plates, and there were slightly different angles because of the tapering leg. And then I could cut the miters on the end of that, which made a little bit of confusion. And I could add a groove for the glass. And then more awkwardness trying to work out where a domino can go. And even more awkwardness working out the dominoes for the base to the leg connection. Now, because of, well, possibly user error, the dominoes weren't quite aligning, so I had to just trim them slightly with a rasp to make them fit. And again, I had the same kind of problem where I started gluing this together and decided, how the hell am I going to actually clamp this together? So about here, everything just kind of started descending into darkness. So this is the result of my glue up. Well, these joins are okay. The rest of them are awful. There was just no real way to clamp this compound join. And while I'm sure I could probably work something out, it's not particularly fast. Yeah, just nothing lined up perfectly. And I went ahead and glued both of them up because I just wanted a pair so I could actually see something in full scale. And I've got this piece of MDF here, so you can kind of see how if this was a piece of glass, that would bridge between the two pieces. And I like the concept for it as a coffee table. I just need to refine the design. I'm going to change this join, and I'm probably going to change this join. I might end up putting a dovetail here. So I'll glue it up as this part, and then I can glue this part in and this part at the same time in theory. So my neighbour had given me some old bar top timber, which was heavily stained, and turns out that it was Iroko. So I thought, why not use that for one of these things? So I went through the process again, made some new pieces. Mostly the same process, but a few differences. First and main difference was that I added a large spline across that acute mitre, and so I just routed out a 10mm groove, so it was 10 by 10, and I glued on some little blocks of plywood as my clamping cawls, so I could use a clamp across the mitre. And then I could glue in a piece of ash that I had for the spline. Once that was dry, I could just generally clean up all of the surfaces of the join. So I decided to put a dovetail in the top rail. So the easiest way to do that on large timber like this is to add a rebate and then cut a thinner dovetail. So the thickness of my dovetail is 15mm, which is just long enough so I can make a cut with my little router in one pass. I've got a down cut bit that will cut 15mm at max depth. So then I could just do this in one pass and then clean up the corners with my chisels. So the joint was okay, just a little bit of sawdust and glue to tidy it up. Then I could route the grooves for the glass. Off camera I cut the base plate and I'm just clamping it into place so I can mark out where the dominoes can go. Everything was on some weird angles everywhere. I pretty much flushed up all of the sides with the hand plane. Became a bit of a trick trying to find places to actually clamp this kind of leg. I'd had this piece of 6mm acrylic sheet for years sitting in the corner, so I thought I would use it to mock up the table and see what it looks like. And everything slid in really nice. From here I actually ordered a piece of glass, but it just never showed up yet. So I just used some wipe-on polyurethane to finish it. So I'm pretty happy with the overall form of these pieces. I'm really not 100% sold on this dovetail. I think it just needs to be a little more delicate. It's just too big, I think, possibly. The other option is to go back to a mitre joint there. Of course, I have the problem of coming up with a clamping solution. The problem with that really is that I don't want to damage this sharp corner, and so that would just take a little bit more thought, I guess. I like the idea of having some traditional joinery in such a modern piece, and so maybe that is quite nice. So at this point I'm thinking to myself, great, I've designed this awesome looking thing, and let's put a picture on Instagram. Well, it didn't take very long to get a message back from Bricket and Beam on Instagram telling me, thanks for trying out our original idea, and next time give us some credit. So I was a little taken aback, because I certainly hadn't copied anybody. As far as I knew, this was straight out of my brain. And so I went over to their page, and guess what I found? And no wonder they kind of complained a little bit to me. I mean, this thing is exactly the same as mine. That's crazy. So it's remarkable how two different people on the other side of the planet can come up with essentially exactly the same design, and almost identically. Really, the only difference is that acute mitre that I do. What a crazy world. I still feel like it's an original idea, while Bricker and Beam were the first. I had no idea about that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an original idea, and I can't see that we're going to overlap customer base given we're on other sides of the planet. But yeah, just a crazy thing, and yeah, I'm not sure what to make of it really. So thanks everybody for watching. It's really been an interesting couple of weeks for me, and I'll leave you with a couple of nice pictures of the finished thing. See you later.